Daniel Hale Williams III, the first African-American cardiologist and the first person to ever perform successful cardiac surgery. The story starts here in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania. Daniel Hale Williams' father was son to an African-American barber. They, along with a Scottish-Irish woman, were a free black family.
Daniel's father married Sarah Prince, who became Sarah Prince Williams, and they had seven children, the fifth of which was Daniel.
The family moved to Annapolis, Maryland. Shortly after, Mr. Williams got sick and unfortunately died. Daniel was only 9. Mrs. Williams moved the family to Baltimore, Maryland, to stay with relatives. Daniel became an apprentice for a shoemaker while still an early child. He worked there for 3 years until he learned to cut hair and continued the family business as a barber. As you can see here by this plaque, because of Daniel's fame, the Williams Barbershop has become an official national landmark.
As a teenager, Daniel went to live and work with a family in Janesville, Wisconsin.
In Janesville, Daniel started high school. He graduated from Hare's Classical Academy in 1877. He soon after met Dr. Henry Palmer. Dr. Henry Palmer invited Daniel to be one of his 3 apprentices. He tried to help them get into a top-class medical school. All 3 of them got accepted, and they began their studies in 1880.
Williams was just beginning in his medical career. After graduating, he began to practice surgery and medicine at the South Side Dispensary. At the same time, he held a position at Northwest University as an instructor of anatomy.
As Williams began to grow his practice, he was known by more and more people for his skilled operations. By 1883, Daniel was one of 4 African-American doctors in Chicago, and soon later, in 1889, he was appointed to the Illinois Board of Health. During his time working as a surgeon, Dr. Williams noticed that blacks were subject immediately to second-class care. And after meeting a young woman, Emma Reynolds, he also learned that blacks were having trouble getting into nursing school. Emma had, in fact, been rejected by every nursing school in Chicago. This prompted Williams to start a new hospital known as the Provident Hospital. It was also a medical school for African Americans who wanted to be nurses.
Williams accepted white people as well, emphasizing the need to provide the best care to everyone, no matter what race.
Although Daniel had become a very successful doctor, starting his own hospital even, that is nothing compared to what he did to James Cornish in 1893. James was rushed to the hospital because of a stab wound in his chest. He was brought into the operating room. As his body was weakening, Dr. Williams decided to open up his chest to see what they could do before he bled to death.
Cornish became very weak, very tired, and started to go into shock, which all of the doctors knew were signs of internal bleeding.
Williams and his doctors noticed a pierced blood vessel and a tear to the pericardium tissue around the heart. Dr. Williams sutured both of these injuries to stop the bleeding. And voila, Mr. Cornish was saved and he lived for another 20 years. After this remarkable incident, Williams married Alice Johnson, a schoolteacher, in 1898. He acted as chief of surgery at Provident Hospital and eventually retired after suffering a stroke. Mr. Williams died in Michigan in 1931 after a life of helping many.